and the pursuit of happiness. He laid down his life for a friend. To prove one love to another is to lay down their life for a friend.
Come on, preacher.
There is no higher sacrifice that anyone can make than to give up their life for someone else. And have it said at the end, he laid down his life for a friend.
Come on, preacher.
In the text, Jesus commanded that his disciples would show love toward one another and to everybody that they met. He understood what it meant to lay down a life for a friend. And in the text, Jesus used the word friend.
Yes, sir.
And he used the word friend because those whom he was addressing, he considered them as friends.
Come on, preacher.
It's good to know we have a friend in Jesus. It's good to know he's a friend that sticks closer than a brother, that you can call on in the morning, in the noonday hour, at midnight, and even when the sun goes down.
Come on, preacher.
And Jesus said, a friend is this, one who will lay down his life for a friend. We live in a valley of sacrifices.
Yes, sir.
We sacrifices, and in our sacrifices, we give up some things.
That's right.
In our sacrifices, we have some losses. In sacrifices, we denounce some things. In the midst of our sacrifices, we have sacrifices for lasting relationships. And I want you to know a relationship is a sacrifice.
Yes, sir.
For in the relationship, it's a give and a take. Sometimes you give, sometimes you have to take. But the real sacrifice is when you're willing to take more than what you give.
Come on now.
Amen.
We have sacrifices.
Uh-huh.
We sacrifice body, life, and limb. We sacrifice careers. We sacrifice money that others may have a better opportunity in life. We make sacrifices. We do without so that others may have.
Come on.
I was deeply touched a few years ago when a professional basketball player named Kevin Durant, one of the greatest basketball players that ever lived, when he won the MVP Most Valuable Player Award, in his speech he gave a tribute to his mother, and he recalled the time that they moved in their first apartment. And boy, he said, we thought we had made it. We didn't have no furniture, didn't have no bed. But Mama taught us to believe in each other. She kept us off the street. She put clothes on our back. She had food for us on the table. She went to sleep hungry so that we may eat. She worked so that we may have a place to sleep. The real MVP today is my mother. And the crowd stood up and gave a standing ovation. And his mother just sat there and cried as she listened to her son recall the sacrifices that she had made that they may have life, the liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Come on, preacher.
Thank you, Mr. Rand, for the sacrifices that you made, that your children may have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Come on, preacher.
They're biblical characters whom we know in the Bible,
Yes, sir.
who made sacrifices for their families,
Yes, sir.
for their friends, for their country. We remember Abraham.
Yes, sir.
You remember Abraham
Come on.
and the sacrifice that he made? God called him and said, Abraham, I want you to sacrifice your only son. In other words, I want you to kill your only boy. And Abraham obeyed the Lord, went to Moriah, and put his son Isaac on the altar and drew back a knife, ready to kill him. But the angel said, don't harm him.
Yeah.
The Lord has seen your faithfulness.
Yes, sir.
And there was a ram caught in the thicket.
Yes, sir.
And they took the ram and used it as a sacrifice. And they named that place, the Lord will provide. And I stopped by to tell somebody this morning that in the midst of your sacrifices, the Lord will provide. In the midst of things that you have to give up, the Lord will provide.
Yes, sir.
He'll make a way
Yes,
out of no way.
Yes, sir.
And then we remember David and Goliath. David was willing to sacrifice his life for the whole nation of Israel.
Yes, sir.
The Israelite army was being annihilated by the Philistines. And David went to the king and said, I'll fight that Philistine. I'll fight him. And they said, oh, no, you're sending a boy to do a man's job. And the king said, well, if you're going to fight, he said, let us put some armor on you. David said, I don't need no armor. And see, when the Lord is on your side, you don't have to have nothing else. Is that right? He just took a little slingshot.
Yes, sir.
Kill the great Goliath. I tell you, the Lord will provide for you in the midst of your sacrifices. And then we remember Esther. You remember when Haman had made a pact with King Xerxes, amen, and said that all of the Jews should be killed. Mordecai, the uncle of Esther, who had raised her as his only child, and she was a Jew, but no one else knew it.
Yeah.
Even the king she was married to didn't know it.
Yes, sir.
And when Mordecai heard that the Jews were about to be killed, he sent a message to his daughter, Esther, and said, listen, you need to go talk with the king.
Yes, sir.
We're about to be annihilated.
Yes, sir.
But Esther sent back a message saying, I can't go to the king. He has not extended his signet ring. And if I go in, he can possibly kill me.
Yes, sir.
Mordecai wrote back to her and said, don't think that just because you're in the king's palace, that you're any safer than any other Jew. Am I right? Maybe it was for such a time as this.
Come on, preacher.
That you were made queen.
Make it plain.
And if you don't speak,
Yes, sir.
help will come from heaven.
Yes, sir.
And see, that's what I like about the Lord. In the midst of my sacrifice, you don't have to worry about anything. Help will come from heaven.
Yes. Preach, preacher.
And by telling you that Esther said to him, she wrote back to him and said, if I perish, I'll perish.
Talk, preacher. Come
In
on.
other words, if he killed me,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to see the king.
Yes,
I
sir.
love my people, and when you sacrifice, when you love your people, you don't mind giving up your life.
Yes, sir.
Because Jesus said one day, whoever tries to save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake, he will gain. Yes,
Preach,
he
preach.
laid down his life for a friend. And then there's somebody else we know of who made a big sacrifice.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you know, he's a friend of mine.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you know him, amen. But he came all the way down from heaven,
Yes, sir.
amen, to live in a lonely manger. He made a sacrifice for us.
Right.
He was rich, but for my sake and for your sake, he became poor. Do you know what? Amen. Lived in a mansion, but he yet born in a lonely stable.
Well,
For my sake and for your
come
sake.
on, preacher.
Oh, I'm talking about this man named Jesus. I'm talking Mary's little baby. Moses, Lord. Do you know the man called Jesus?
Hallelujah.
He made sacrifices for us. Have I got a witness right
Yes,
here?
sir.
He suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, dead, and buried. They tell me that they put a crown of thorns on his head for you and for me. They put a heavy cross on his shoulder, and he sacrificed it and suffered under that cross with my sins and your sins on the cross of Calvary. He made a sacrifice. And not only that, they hung him on a tree, stretched him wide, and dropped him deep, and drove nails in his hand. A sacrifice for you and for me. He laid down his life
Yes,
for a
sir.
friend. Have I got a witness right
Yes,
here?
sir.
But not only did he lay down his life for a friend,
Right.
he laid down his life for enemies.
Yes,
Because as he hung on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them,
All right.
for they know not what they do.
Yes, sir.
He laid down his life for a friend. Are you willing to lay down your life for a friend? Let's get a Lord a big round of applause today. Give the Lord a big round.
Okay.
The doors of the church are open today. And you heard the Lord speak to you in a mighty way. Remember what Christ did for you, he did for others.
Hallelujah.
He laid down his life for a friend. Let us all stand and sing.